Hey, what's up? Welcome back. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to grow a church in the 21st century, part 1. Hey, what's up, y'all? My name's Chris Abbott, but all my friends just call me Abbo. Now, in the next few minutes, we're going to be talking about some of the 21st century methods for growing your church, including the simple and effective tool that a church in the Midwest used to grow to 30 campuses and over 100,000 people. And we'll also be talking about the unique approach that Pixar used in order to dominate the industry and beat Disney at their own game. All right, number 1, break the rules. Now, General MacArthur said that you are remembered for the rules you break. And I think that's something that's really important for us to remember as leaders, right? We shouldn't always play by the rules. We shouldn't always do things the way they've always been done. Just because something's never been done before doesn't mean it's a bad idea or that it shouldn't be done. It's something that should be prayerfully considered because the fastest growing churches in the nation are breaking the rules. In fact, one of the fastest growing churches in the Midwest back in the 90s actually broke the rules because the pastor was kind of straight off the streets, right? So he wasn't used to church or the way that people would naturally grow their churches. So what he would do is when he first planted his church, he would go out to the gas station down the street from the church and he would literally just pump people's gas every single Friday and Saturday night. So one of the fastest growing churches back in the 90s broke the rules because the pastor was kind of straight off the streets, right? He wasn't used to the way that things were normally done or the way churches were trying to grow back then. So he broke the rules. What he would do is he would literally go to the gas station down the street from his church, right? Brand new church plant. He would go down to the gas station and he would literally pump people's gas. And while he was pumping their gas, he would just say, "Hey man, how can I pray for you?" Right? And so the person would be like, "Well, is the gas station attendant trying to pray for me?" Right? But it's like, "Well, I don't know, man. My marriage kind of sucks." He'd say, "Okay, great. Let's pray for your marriage." Right? And so every single Friday and Saturday night, he was praying for 200 or 300 people. And the natural overflow of doing that much ministry and praying for that many people is that some of them are going to say, "Hey man, why are you doing this? Like, do you work for the gas station or what's going on?" Right? And he said, "No, I pastor the church down the street." And so they say, "Well, what time's church on Sunday?" And that approach, because it was so unique and because he was giving ministry away and not just inviting people to church, he ended up having one of the fastest growing churches in the entire country. In fact, he got featured in Rolling Stone magazine and on MTV, back in the 90s when those things were actually cool. And his church grew really, really fast. He broke the rules. He didn't do what everybody else is doing. Now, we actually call this the gas station principle. And it's pretty simple. When you actually break down what he did the opposite of what everybody else is doing, right? So here's what most churches do. We invite people to church so that we can do ministry. And it makes sense, right? It's like, well, we got to get them there so we can get them saved, get them baptized, get them plugged into a small group or a volunteer team, right? But we invite people to church so we can do ministry. What he did is he actually flipped it. And instead, he just did ministry first and then invited people to church. And that strategy, that approach, because it was a ministry first approach, completely changed the game. And he had one of the fastest growing churches in the nation. All right, number 2, write a manifesto. So Pastor Craig Rochelle pastors Life Church, which has 30 campuses and over 100,000 people in their church. And one of the things that they did when they were first starting out is they basically identified a bunch of the guiding principles in their church, and then they wrote a manifesto, something they call the code. So let's read the code together and kind of go through it, and you can see exactly how simple this is, but why it's so extremely effective at communicating their vision and their core values. Now, this is different than their statement of faith. This has more to do with focus and perspective. In fact, Pastor Craig says, "It was prayerfully created, intensely weighed, checked, and double-checked before it became just the right set of guiding principles for our ministry. Now it helps shape almost everything we do. The code gives leadership something to look toward, employees something to model, and attendees something to be encouraged by." All right, so let's take a look at the code from Life Church. Number 1, we are faith-filled, big-thinking, bet-the-farm risk takers. We'll never insult God with small thinking and safe living. Number 2, we are all about the capital C church. The local church is the hope of the world, and we know we can accomplish infinitely more together than apart. Number 3, we give up things we love for things we love even more. It's an honor to sacrifice for Christ and his church. Number 4, we wholeheartedly reject the label megachurch. We are a micro church with a mega vision. Number 5, we will do anything short of sin to reach people who don't know Christ. To reach people no one is reaching, we'll have to do things no one is doing. Number 6, we will lead the way with irrational generosity. We truly believe it is more blessed to give than to receive. Number 7, we will laugh hard, loud, and often. Nothing is more fun than serving God with people you love. Number 8, we always bring our best. Excellence honors God and inspires people. Number 9, we are spiritual contributors, not spiritual consumers. The church does not exist for us. We are the church and we exist for the world. And finally, number 10, we will honor Christ and his church with integrity. If we live with integrity, nothing else matters. If we don't live with integrity, nothing else matters. Now, there's a couple of parts that I absolutely love about this code. I actually love the whole thing, but there's a couple of things I want to point out that are really cool, right? Number 9, we are spiritual contributors, not spiritual consumers. Right? How many of you guys have so many people in your church that are consumers, right? Maybe they're complaining about the types of chairs that you have, or that the air conditioning isn't hot enough or cold enough, or whatever it is, right? Like they're complaining about the worship music. These people are spiritual consumers. So Pastor Craig, being the incredible leader that he is, knows that about people. And so part of their core values becomes about being spiritual contributors, not spiritual consumers. Right? This does two things. Number 1, it runs off the people that just want to be spiritual consumers and complain about things all day. But it also attracts the type of people that want to be spiritual contributors, and it moves people to action. Number 3, ready, fire, aim. Now, this is one of my favorite principles of all time. I run my life this way. I run my business this way. I do ministry this way. So I believe this is one of the most underused principles in the church today, right? So many people want to honor God with excellence, and that's really important. But oftentimes what happens is that excellence becomes perfection, right? And perfection is the opposite of innovation. In fact, Facebook has a saying, they say done is the new perfect, right? Done is so much better than perfect. And if you are a perfectionist, a lot of times you can fall into the trap of continually tweaking, right? And continuing to put off doing the things that you should be doing because you want to do them with excellence. And a lot of times they never actually get done. I can't tell you the amount of times I've worked with churches who wanted to launch Plan Your Visit at their church, but they didn't because they wanted to train up all their people and they wanted to make sure they got all the right signage and t-shirts and they wanted to do everything with excellence. And you know what happened? Nothing. Every single one of those guys who told me they were going to do that and that they were going to launch it in 3 to 6 months and they were going to train everybody and get all the signage, those people never actually launched. Ready, fire, aim fixes all that, right? So the best thing you can do is actually launch Plan Your Visit this Sunday. Right? Mark Twain said that a man who grabs a cat by the tail knows 80% more about cats than the man who doesn't. And that's the single best way that you can learn new things or try something you've never done before, right? It's scary, it's uncomfortable, but ready, fire, aim. Dive in, figure it out, and then tweak as you go. Okay, so before I tell you this story about Pixar, make sure to share this video with someone, right? If there's someone that you know that is trying to grow their church or reach more people, would you share this video? Okay, so Pixar did something that nobody would even dream of doing at the time and probably still wouldn't dream of today. They literally beat Disney at their own game, right? So when they released Toy Story back in the 1990s, it became one of the biggest movies of all time, right? And brand new technology. So while Disney was doing cartoons, now Pixar introduced animation. And it completely changed the world forever. It completely changed the industry forever. So one of my favorite things about Pixar is that one of their core values is basically ready, fire, aim, right? It's this idea of just picking something and going all in. So Ed Catmull, the co-founder of Pixar, talks about how they approach problems, right? So he says, if they come up and they say, hey, should we take the hill on the left or should we take the hill on the right? He said, someone in the back just yells, the hill on the left. And they run up the hill on the left. And sometimes they get halfway up the hill and someone yells, wrong hill. And so they stop, they run back down the hill, and they run all the way to the top of the hill on the right. And they said by doing things this way, they still always make it to the top of the right hill before everyone else, right? So all of their competition does focus groups and they do studies and they hire consultants to figure out how does the hill on the left compare to the hill on the right. And by the time they make it to the top of the hill, Pixar already beat them. And so I think we need to take this same principle of ready, fire, aim into our churches, or something that you want to launch or something you want to try. The single best way is to dive in and do it. Okay, so I've got a ton more content on how to grow a church in the 21st century. You're not going to want to miss it. I couldn't fit it all into one video, so go check out part 2. Click the link in the description below. We'll see you there.